Hello everyone, my name is Braxton Miller. I go by @ill_mill on Instagram, and this is the Q2 Monochrom review. Okay, so unfortunately this video is slightly later than I wanted it to be, but better late than never, as they always say. Leica sent me the Q2 Monochrom early, about 7 days prior to its release, and I had about 6 to 7 days to be able to work with it. I took it in Chicago for about 3-4 days, shot some street, shot some portraiture. Cortland got a lot of footage, and I'll show you guys that next. But I wanted to be able to give a huge shout out to Leica Store Las Vegas and Leica for sending me this early. It's been a blast. It was such an honor to be able to receive this early. And so what's going to happen is we're going to watch this footage, and then we're going to be able to talk about it after and kind of give you my initial thoughts and see how it goes from there. Space here with my homie Jordan Martin, and we're gonna get some fashion stuff with the Q2 Monochrom. So as an overview, I want to take time to be able to thank Jordan Martin, Kiara Woods, and Congruent Space. Congruent Space is where I shot with Jordan. So big props to them allowing me to use their space. And a super duper big shout out to Cortland. He goes by @HighTechCordo on Instagram. He's been doing all my behind the scenes videos and a super duper big help on all of these projects. So I could not do this without him. Now we can kind of get to my first impressions with the camera. I would say overall, I'm a big fan. I love the monochrome sensors from Leica. I love my M10. And they're very similar. I would say that essentially the Q2 Monochrom is just an M10 with autofocus. And I think that after, especially with talking with Leica, they said that this is a great spot for, you know, people that don't want to commit to the M systems or also have a hard time with manual focus, which I don't. My eyesight is good for now, thank God. But there may be a time when autofocus is necessary, and this definitely fills that void. And another big point is it's its own ecosystem. Once you buy this, you have the lens, you have everything that you possibly can need to be able to make images right away. You don't have to worry about buying or tracking down M glass. So I think that also it has a great spot in the lineup for people that want monochrome, but since the M9 monochrome have not been able to shoot monochrome because you don't have any M glass, or it's an easier entryway into the monochrome lineup, which is, I think, is fantastic because I love these sensors, I love these cameras. I think that they deserve way more shine than they get because they just are so specialized and so good at what they do. So my final verdict personally on this camera, I would say, is that I probably don't need it in my lineup because of my M10. I'd prefer using the M10. But if I did not have the M10 monochrome, I would probably want to be in a place where I could get the Q2 monochrome. It's lightning quick autofocus. It does great in low light. The 1.7/28 that's on this thing is awesome. I would say that sometimes for my taste, it could be a little bit too sharp, but that's very in the realm of what a lot of people like. There's a lot of people that love the glass that's on the 28. On the Q2, and so for the most part I would say that I probably don't need it in my kit, but if things were different, I for sure would want to put it in my kit just because of how great of a tool it is. All in all, I really enjoyed using this camera. It was kind of like second nature for me just because, again, used to the M10 monochrome, but the autofocus is fantastic. The EVF is fantastic. This actually is probably the best EVF that I've actually used. Sometimes on the EVFs, when you punch in for the manual focus stuff, it can get a little too blurry, and then it ends up being so blurry that everything's blurry and you don't know what you're focusing on. For this though, punching in and still retained a bunch of sharpness, so it actually was really useful when manually focusing. So really this does have the ability to do both. So that is a really big piece to me that made this camera really special. And I think another big key as to why this camera is special is because it has the ability to do 4K on a all black and white sensor, which is going to be able to render things in such a way that is very unique to the Q2. And I think that is special. I think having the ability to do that type of video can always bring a little unique flair, or if you know that you love just black and white, it's a great way to be able to shoot your videos. I personally didn't do too much video recording as testing, but I did get some, and I did get some slow-mo, and I will put that right now. So I did really enjoy being able to do video on this camera, especially with great autofocus and, like I said, with the EVF, great manual focus as well, which allows it to be a very, very capable video camera. And I'd say one last key feature that I really want to talk about is this camera's ability to punch in. You have a button on the back that allows you to bring up frame lines, and when you shoot the photo, it will actually crop in for you on that image to whatever millimeter you chose. And while this may sound a little bit like a gimmick, it actually, for me, in my experience with this camera, is not. It actually is fully capable of rendering these images at these focal lengths. Now, the 28 stays the same, of course, but it crops into the sensor the equivalent. So, you know, you're not natively shooting a 75, of course, but you're cropping in, and you will lose megapixels, of course. Every time you crop in, you're cropping a little bit more into the sensor, and you have 35, 50, 75. But I shot a few shots here at 75 millimeters, and for the most part, there wasn't too much of a noticeable difference. Of course, you can't punch more into the image, but the detail resolution, for the most part, felt like it was still there. So this also, another piece to this that makes it really, really cool is that you essentially have a 28, a 35, a 50, and a 75 in one camera. So really, again, coming back to this being the really reasonable entryway into the monochrome series, you buy this and essentially you have, you know, 4 lenses that you can kind of pick and choose from, and they're all adequate, especially for someone that's on the go. This is great with its autofocus. I think that it works really well in that niche, and does very good job at what it is. So all in all, a final last takeaway is that this is a fantastic camera. It is very good at what it does. A monochrome sensor, if you love black and white, will change your life, that's for sure. So all in all, as a last overview of this camera, it is an incredible piece of kit. It's very flexible. It's the perfect thing for me for how I use my Q2 is on the go. When I know that I may not be able to slow down and get the autofocus, or slow down and set up the S, you know, I'm able to whip it out, boom, be able to take a shot and not worry about it. It caught autofocus and just go. And I think that it takes that and puts it into the monochrome realm, which again, you know, if you're not into the monochrome systems, the previous ones that don't have end glass, but have really been wanting to be on these monochrome systems, the Q2 is a perfect entryway to be able to get into that realm. And so that brings us on how to get this camera. Demand has been high for this camera, but you can go and talk to my friends at Leica Store Las Vegas, and they will be able to hook you guys up, help you out on making all your decisions. I will drop all their information below, so then you have everything that you possibly need to be able to reach out to them. And one last time, I would just love to thank Leica and Leica Store Las Vegas for giving me the opportunity to use this camera early. It's been a true honor to be able to be a part of this brand. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you have a question or comment, feel free to leave it down below. I can try to get back to it as fast as I can. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. I do have a S3 studio session video coming your guys' way soon. I also am working on my M10 monochrome long-term review video right now. I'm just compiling as many images as I can, and until next time.